Hi, my name's Craig Valkenar. I've been with Eniva for about 6 years. When I got involved, I really started working hard and built a pretty big business. And then I moved on, and I was gone for a while. And I heard that Aneva had come out with a new product, a new Vibe, and a new comp plan. So I came back and took a look at it, and that was about almost a year ago. And I went back to work, and I just want to say, that there's this new Vibe, the new comp plan is even better than when I was involved before, when I was very successful. So I'm really excited to be back with Aneva, and another really big reason is I have a testimony to share. I've heard hundreds, possibly thousands of Aneva testimonies over the years, and I've had a few with friends and family, but share with you a story about my father. He's 81 years old. About 20 years ago, he had a mild heart attack, and so for the last 20 years, been monitoring his heart and checking up on him, 3-4 times a year. And back in February of 2004, they did a bunch of tests on his heart at a hospital in San Francisco, and they told him that it was in great shape and it hadn't changed in the last 20 years. 3 months later, he had a massive heart attack, and he had died several times on the way to the hospital, was revived by the medics. The next day, they rushed him to the heart hospital in San Francisco for a 5-way bypass. Normally, a 5-way bypass or 3-way bypass, people are in the hospital for a few weeks. He was in the hospital for 6 months because the surgeon had damaged the nerve that controls his diaphragm, leaving him unable to breathe on his own and had to be on a ventilator. So once he recovered from that, he'd slowly gone downhill, and, I had always told him about Vibe, and he was drinking it, but probably going through a bottle every 2 months because his current wife didn't believe Vibe, and she really wouldn't allow them to order too much of it. So he was taking a very small amount of it, and so in February of this year, he had trouble breathing. He had a lot of fluid in his lungs, and they had to rush him to the hospital. He spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and they diagnosed him with congestive heart failure. The doctors basically told him that there was really no more they could do for him. They put him on a high amount of oxygen and sent him home to die. Well, he called me from the hospital to tell me the bad news, and I suggested that if he could come out to he was in Idaho, and I suggested if he could come out to my home in Colorado, that I would try to get him better, put him on some of the Eniva products and give him a little better diet. So they figured they had nothing to lose, so he came out, and I actually went and picked him up. And when we got him here, we pretty much had to carry him. He had a very serious edema from his ankles all the way up to his hips. His feet were all completely swollen. He couldn't lay flat at all without having all the congestion in his lungs stop him from breathing. He was on 11 medications. He was on a breathing nebulizer every 6 hours that he had to take. He was on 2 other inhalers. He's very pale. I think you may be able to see a picture of him. He was very pale and looked like he was really close to death. He couldn't even take a couple steps on his own. So with Dr. Burba's advice, we originally started him on 4 ounces of Vibe every day, 2 ounces of ResVante, and 4 Efacor. Within a week, all the edema was gone in his legs and feet. He was also able to lay down and sleep flat without the congestion in his lungs. And so this has been 3 months now that we've had him on the same. I brought him back after about 2 or 3 weeks to 3 ounces of Vibe a day, 2 ResVante, and 4 Efacor. So this is 3 months later, and he is a completely different person. He was using a walker for, I think, close to 3 years, and he doesn't need the walker at all anymore. He uses a cane because he has a bad knee, but if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't need the cane. He exercises every morning on the exercise bike. He takes long walks around the property. He was a diabetic, and his blood sugar was always over 300 before. And now it is very low. Matter of fact, yesterday he told me that he didn't have to do any insulin at all yesterday because his blood sugar was always below what it should be for him to take insulin. He's went from 11 medications down to 4. They've had to reduce all of his medications, cut back on all of them, and he's still on a few, like for blood pressure and a few for his heart. We had an appointment last week with the heart doctor here, and she told him that he is no longer in congestive heart failure, that his kidneys and liver are all operating great. And she said, whatever you guys are doing, just keep it up, keep doing it. Matter of fact, she was so impressed that she wrote a prescription for Vibe and Efacor, and so that he can get his insurance to pay for it. So he's, I'm sure I forgot a lot of things, but he's just made such a recovery, and he doesn't have any problems anymore at all. I mean, he doesn't have any symptoms at all, really, that he suffers from. And I would just strongly encourage anybody that has a health challenge or a loved one or a friend that has a health challenge to try the Eniva products. I'm sure that they will see similar results to what I saw with my dad. And I am very, very grateful to Andy and Ben for creating these products and that we were able to use these, because without these, I'm sure my dad would be dead. They only gave him a few weeks to live. So, again, I'm very grateful for the products, and I hope if you have someone you know that's suffering that you'll get them to try the Vibe and the great Eniva products. Thank you very much.